South Africa is a beautiful country. It's got tons of diversities. And I'd recommend anyone who wants to visit the nation and come and even live here to do so, because it's a beautiful country. Economy, that's another story for another day. Unemployment, that's another story for another day. You want to know what else is another story for another day? Teenage pregnancies. Teenage pregnancies has been taking this country by storm. Like how Mzegezege took the country by storm when it was realized he wasn't DJ Spoo. Bruv! And the way we've been ignoring this thing is just insane. We have more pandemics in this country than the amount of times you fapped during lockdown. I don't care if you're watching this, boy or girl. If you were a teenager during the lockdown, heck, even a young adult, there's no way you didn't fap during lockdown. You were alone, you had all the time to yourself, and there was unlimited internet for those of you who actually had access to that. Some of you were desperate enough to even go and buy data to do so. Some other old men who couldn't find love decided to start touching kids, probably being part of the result of the amount of teenage pregnancies. And before you shut me down, I'm going to show you an image right here that shows you the amount of teenage pregnancies in this country and how much it has increased by between the two, if I'm not mistaken. I've said this before and I will say it again. South Africa has a tendency of ignoring some very big things, like teenage pregnancy, and then we have a tendency of bringing things up when it's at its absolute worst. What's the point of bringing this up when it's already reached such a terrifying point? We could have talked about this last day. We could have talked about this 2 years ago. We could have talked about this even during the fucking lockdown instead of talking about how much the COVID-19 infections has increased by. But instead, what we chose to do was brush it off and then talk about it when it's over 500,000 females in this country who are below the age of 18 who are pregnant. In case you noticed, it ain't water, it's coffee. Level up. Did I say that already? I don't even know. What I'm trying to say is, bro, if you want to solve a problem, you need to identify and acknowledge that you have the problem first and attack it head on. If you have problems, you attack them head on. You don't brush them off and wait for a year and then talk about it when the problem has already caused the chaos you didn't want it to cause in the first place. I don't even think this is going to be a long video because this is just straight and forward. The teenage pregnancy thing, we could have dealt with that. One of the ways we could have dealt with that is to stop promoting the sexual acts. We keep promoting this stuff. Did you hear what some of the ministers said in response to teenage pregnancy? Guess what they said? So I watched the news this weekend and they were like, well, no, they can continue sleeping with each other. Just use condoms. It's what you need to do. Are you fucking kidding me? So the best way to stop teenage pregnancies is to motivate the kids to continue sleeping with each other with one slight condition. They just wear condoms this time. So kids, we don't mind you guys sleeping with each other. We don't mind old men touching you in parts even your parents don't. We don't mind any of that. We just care if they're wearing condoms or not. Hey, if that doesn't tell you what it should tell you, then I don't know what will. Because I've said time and time again in some of my deleted videos that I believe pedophiles should be punished by being hung balls first on a string. No, pardon my grease, on a rope. Hard rope. Hard rope they use on farms to catch pigs or something. They should be hung balls first because they can't find love, so they're going to decide on touching kids. They're going to start giving them tons of money just so that they can sleep with them and get them pregnant. And then you're going to say wear condoms. You should be ashamed of yourself. You know yourselves. I know there's some people watching this video saying, well, some of those kids don't have a choice. Some of them have to pay school fees. Some of them have to do this. Let me be the one to tell you there's other ways to do this. Why doesn't she volunteer at the local store or something? Become a cleaner. Become a cashier. That's her part-time job because she's a school kid. I'm not going to resort to sleeping with old men just so that I can pay my fees. No ways. I'll find a way. You should find a way too. Just not the awful ways, like what I just mentioned earlier. I don't even know. Will this video get taken down by YouTube with how unfiltered it is? I haven't been this unfiltered in a long time because I've been talking on government situations and all. This actually is still a government situation, but it's more societal as a whole, if you really think about it. So basically, that's about it. Just wanted to give you guys a heads up on the actual pandemic that has been grabbing us by a chokehold. So now that I've told you all this, you will now know that there's 3 main pandemics in South Africa. What's the first one? Gender-based violence. What's the second one? Unemployment rate. What's the third one? It's teenage pregnancies. Oh, and here's my final message to the guys that actually have owned up to fapping during lockdown. Bruv! You're not alone. You're not alone. But stop it. It's a bad habit. It's a terrible habit. Just don't do it again. And now that you've learned something, you officially have my permission to click off this video. Goodbye.